Had to get up, had to go and get some money. People hating, yeah, they hating, yeah.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another exciting edition of Awkward Situations, a series where you guys write comments about awkward situations that are happening or that have happened in your lives previously, embarrassing stories, or anything else you want to talk about in the comment section below, and then I take those comments and talk about them during this series. We got some early Black Ops 4 gameplay on the screen for you today, and since it is early Black Ops 4 gameplay, I am legally obligated to say that the company Activision paid for my flight and my hotel room in Los Angeles for the Black Ops 4 reveal event, which was tons of fun. Was hanging out with a lot of YouTubers there, mainly my friends Speedy and Hova. But I saw a lot of other cool cats, and in this gameplay, we don't have names, but I was playing against Drifter, Chaos Silencer, T. Martin. I'm trying to remember if there's anyone else that I knew of. There's someone at the end that I can't think of. But I don't know what gameplay I chose. I have 3 gameplays. I'm going to probably choose the worst gameplay. We got almost smacked in all of them. One I had the clutch for, so I want to save that for a separate video where I clutched up in the new game mode. Here's what I'll say about Black Ops 4. If you disliked Black Ops 3 for any reason other than advanced movement, i.e. thrust jumps or anything like that, you'll dislike Black Ops 4. But if you like Black Ops 3 and were like, I could do without this jumpy shit, you'll probably like Black Ops 4. So that's my short analysis of it if you care. And I guess with that, we will get to today's awkward situations. Well, first, we have an update, so let's get to that update right now. Today's first and only update about a previous awkward situation is an update on the last awkward situation from the last episode I uploaded. So we have a quick turnaround on this update. I always appreciate that. If you want to watch me talking about this situation originally, there is a timestamped link in the description. A quick summary for those of you who don't want to leave this video. I appreciate you for sticking around. It was a guy who worked at a place, and a coworker found out he was a virgin and then spread a rumor about him being a virgin. Well, I guess if it's true, it's not really spreading a rumor, it's just telling people, but being kind of negative about it and making jokes about it, and it was making his workplace uncomfortable. So he updated. Update, last awkward situation in this episode. I'm the virgin in parentheses, LOL. Hey Joel, here's the update on my situation. For the most part, everything at work is getting better. I completely stopped talking to the girl at work and started to not care what people thought of me. I've made some good friends from work since I wrote you the situation, and they could really care less. The only people that still try to get under my skin are the quote-unquote wood-eating morons. I must have said that. That must have been my quote. I don't remember saying that. Lamau, which there are only a few of, but other than that, works good. P.S. I work at a drug mart since you were curious. Oh, he didn't mention where he worked originally. Also, thank you for the appreciation and showing me some positivity on the subject. I really appreciate it. Keep up the great vids. Yeah, I mean, for someone to make fun of me for that, very dumb. Shows insecurity on their part. I mean, it shows insecurity to make fun of people for anything, especially their hairline, which destroys people internally when they have to read those comments on a daily basis. I'm not talking about myself or anyone I know, but like I said in the last episode, absolutely nothing to be insecure about. I think it's good to wait for the right person, intentionally or unintentionally, and I just appreciate your positive attitude and hearing that everything is going well at work. With that said, let's get on to today's first awkward situation right now. Today's first awkward situation says, so I have an awkward situation that happened to me years ago in middle school. While in middle school, I made friends, more specifically upperclassmen. They had convinced me to get Facebook, and I did. To me, at that age, Facebook was something that you used to talk to people and only that. So I messaged one of the female friends I had made after they moved to high school. While talking, I had told her I had started to drive and even said that I had driven further than where she lived. She asked me how I knew where she lived. I had seen her go into the house while casually passing by and assumed it to be her house. However, for whatever reason, I didn't tell her this and instead told her I knew the people that lived there before her. She responded by saying her parents built the house, and after being caught in that lie, I told her the truth, and we haven't spoken since. To this day, it is one of the most embarrassing things I've ever said, and I laugh at it now. I wanted to share this and see if you ever said something similar. Also, you done editing that Last of Us video? I am not done editing that Last of Us video, the Last of Us series that I was posting on my second channel that I haven't posted in maybe 2 years. I haven't checked, so I need to get back on that, especially with Last of Us 2 coming out this year. But that is a funny story. It reminds me of how I treated Facebook when I was in high school. I was a freshman in high school when Facebook was really starting to become popular. It was back when you still had to have a school email address to get on Facebook. I think they took that rule away a couple years later, maybe when I was a sophomore or junior in high school. But I remember messaging upper class girls, and I looked at those messages not too long ago, and it gave me the strong cringe, the strongest of cringes, to see what I said to girls. Nothing, you know, harassing, but it was just like, hey girl, it's your favorite freshman, winky face. Like, oh, what a beta. I mean, I read those messages again, and I think, you know, at least 40% of these women thought I was gay. I don't think I came off as creepy, but reading it again, came off as a little gay. Wasn't trying to come off as gay, but it was just like, want to get some froyo, girl? Yeah, like, you know, I'm using a lot of winky faces, by the way. Not a really masculine thing to do, to use the winky face. I mean, use it if you want, but I didn't really have game back then. Still don't have game. Luckily, I got a wife somehow. So that's cool, but I don't think I've ever lied about a house, seeing someone go into a house and saying, oh, I know the people that lived there before, and she's like, oh, you mean no one? Because my parents built the house, you creepy liar? Sometimes I'll tell little white lies, as we all do, and then after I do it, I'll ask myself why I lied about it. Like, for instance, recently, I was texting my friend Speedy about basketball, because we do that from time to time, and he texted me and asked if I saw what happened in one of the playoff games that was on, and I was like, of course I saw it, when I actually fell asleep on the floor, so I didn't see it, so I don't even know why I said I saw it. I think it's just embarrassing to say, no, I fell asleep, because I'm actually a 67-year-old man. But anyway, I said, yeah, that was awesome, and he said, no, that wasn't awesome. So I didn't really even understand the context of what he was saying, and then I admitted to him that I fell asleep because I am a 67-year-old man. So I can only think of little white lies like that, nothing that has caused a human to cut off all contact with me. Hopefully Speedy doesn't cut off contact with me if I fall asleep one more time. I would understand if he did, but that's a funny situation, especially talking about using social media at a younger age. We as humans now have records of the things we thought and felt and even said when we were in our early to late teens, well, hopefully at least late teens, and then early 20s. I don't like looking back at stuff I said maybe 3-4 years ago, even sometimes even 2 years ago, because you mature, especially quickly between the ages of 16 and 30. I think that's going to be your fastest upward period of maturing and growth. So to look back at how I thought and felt, I try to never do that, because, again, gives me the strong cringe. And I'm sure all of you would feel that same way too. Wouldn't it be awesome if Twitter existed in the colonial days and you could read the timeline of a 20-year-old Benjamin Franklin, who was pretty notorious for sleeping around? I mean, he was probably in every whorehouse in England, and I'm sure Abraham Lincoln had a nutty 20s. I mean, that guy must have been off the chain wax with stuff in Illinois, building log cabins and partying in the cabins after you build them. That would be fun. So it's weird that this exists in our society now. Cool story. Next awkward situation says awkward situation. So my fiance and I met on COD Black Ops 1 when we were 14 and 15 years old. I lived in Maine and he lived in Minnesota. Because we were just COD friends, I didn't take the friendship seriously, and I was young and stupid. I ended up catfishing him for 2 years, sending him pictures of some random hot college girl. A year before we met up, I came clean and showed him who I really was, and we began FaceTiming and established a real relationship. We met up after high school and dated IRL for 4 years through college before we got engaged last December. Our wedding is set for October 5th, 2018. Early congratulations. We never talk about our COD friendship, quote unquote, when we were 14 because it's a little embarrassing that we met on a video game. Our family doesn't really comprehend it. Now that the wedding is around the corner, we have a lot of people asking how we first met, when did we start texting or FaceTiming. He's even gotten the questions about what his reaction was when he first saw a pic of me. It's really awkward because he and I are the only one that knows about the catfishing. We have moved on and just brushed it off and blamed it on my immaturity because of my age, but it's still super awkward when people start asking about how we met. I guess there isn't really a question to be answered here, but can anyone relate? Is this something we should come clean about and joke about it? Help, Daddy Joel. That's really cool you were able to meet a guy in Call of Duty that had not yet had sex with your mom. That's the tough thing about trying to date people in Call of Duty lobbies. Nearly every one of them has had sex with your mother at some point, which just makes it awkward to try to build a relationship on that foundation. If you're bad in bed and they're like, you know, your mother was better, it's, you know. So that's a rough topic. I'm glad you guys are engaged, and I hope you have a wonderful fall wedding. October, one of my favorite months, the month I was born in. So this is going to happen 11 days before my birthday. Have a great wedding, and I won't send you a wedding present. I don't know why I said that. But anyways, this is something, again, talking about technology and society, we're going to be dealing with going forward. People meet on Bumble now. I would say that even 5 years ago, it would be weird to meet someone on the internet. It would be slightly weird to say that publicly, say that out loud. And now, I think it would be weird to say you met someone in a bar. Beyond weird. Like, as weird as meeting someone on the internet in 1995. Like, you met them in person? I mean, some relationships form naturally, like you said, a friendship. So if you could say that you were friends first because you were in a class together and then you became an item from that, that would make sense. But to actually go to a bar to meet someone is strange nowadays. And your situation, while slightly unique with the catfishing element, is not going to be too far off from ways that people meet each other now. Maybe in 10 years, people will meet each other in virtual reality, and they will have virtual sex before they have actual sex. So no risking STDs. You can see, what kind of hip motions they have beforehand. It would be, I guess, ideal in a way. A little weird. I'm so scared for the future. Please, let's stop time and just exist how we currently exist. I'm sure there's going to be some great comments about people that have experienced similar things, and I would love to read the comments about how people met their significant others in interesting ways. Megan and I did it the old-fashioned way. We were in the same dorm together freshman year in college, and she was handing out cookies to multiple guys to try to find a partner to sleep with. I'm just kidding. She just wanted to pawn off the cookies on men. I don't know what her motivation was. A real slutty Mrs. Fields type deal. But yeah, I was lucky enough to be the one that caught the cookie bug for Megan. And now we're married. So that's my story. And I like that your story had a Call of Duty element to it. Again, early congratulations, and I look forward to all of the comments about this. Next awkward situation. This isn't really an awkward situation, but I just wanted to ask, how did you tell your parents that you wanted to go to therapy? I've been wanting to talk to one for a while now, but I do not want to bring up the fact that I want to talk to one to my parents. If it's going to worry them, any advice would help, please and thanks. I didn't do anything special. I was just sitting in my parents' bedroom talking with my mom about life. And then I brought it up because we were having a good conversation. It's something I was thinking about for a while, and I wish I would have brought up sooner, which I'm sure at this point, if you haven't talked to them about this already, it's something that you wish you had brought up a while ago. I mean, it will be once you finally get it off your chest. Sometimes it's just hard to talk about topics, and the anticipation of a negative reaction of said topic that you are going to talk about is so overbearing that you put off talking about the topic for as long as possible. I experience that a lot in my daily life, mostly with my business, my YouTube business, not really socially because I only really talk to on a daily basis my internet friends or Megan or people in my Discord, so I don't run into many awkward situations there. But in business, sometimes you have to be a little cutthroat, a little direct with people. And I dread those conversations because I have social anxiety. I've gotten better as I've gotten older with just being direct with people. Again, going back to the first awkward situation, being direct is better than lying, even if it's difficult to do. And it's a practice makes perfect type deal. The more you bring up these tough topics and you see that there is not a negative reaction when you think there's going to be a negative reaction, it breaks your subconscious thoughts of a negative reaction for the next time you have to do something like that. Think of it as practice for harder conversations you're going to have in the future. I mean, I don't want to get really morbid, but there's going to be bad things that happen in your life, and there's going to be much more difficult conversations than this. So this is the first of many difficult conversations you're going to have. And honestly, I don't even think it's that difficult, because if I'm your parent, then I'm wondering maybe why your mood's changed or why you seem a little withdrawn. And I want you to talk to me about this because you're probably at a point in your life when you're a little more closed off just naturally because of that age. And it's hard as a parent to come to you and say, hey, you can talk to me about anything, right? You can talk to me about anything. Maybe they've had a conversation like that with you already. I know my parents said, you can talk to us about anything right before I actually talked to them about the thing I really felt multiple times. So it's one of those things where you just got to do it. I can promise you, like 99% promise you, that your parents will be happy that you told them this because you're taking ownership of a problem. I remember thinking growing up that my parents never had problems because they never shared them with me, but it was just them being good parents by keeping some of those difficult things that would have maybe felt like a burden to me as a child, like maybe we didn't have a lot of money and my parents were stressed about that and they had to talk to someone about that. They wouldn't tell me things like that as a child because they didn't want me to worry about it, because what can I do? I'm a kid. I think that's a good parenting technique. So your parents probably deal with a lot more than you think they do, and they can handle something like this and they'll appreciate that you did this. So just bring it up if you can. But actually, I know you can. So I don't know why I left that out for you. Just do it. Let's get to the last awkward situation right now. Last awkward situation says, so I kind of have an awkward situation. I'm in the Army and I recently came back from deployment and I've seen some crazy shit that I don't really like talking about. And my girlfriend of 5 years feels like I'm hiding things from her since I feel uncomfortable talking about it. This last deployment was also my second, and she thinks that if I'm willing to go back that I should share with her. Her parents completely take her side, which has made them somewhat not like me as much and made her start talking about taking a break or even breaking up. I really love this girl and we were pretty serious, as you can imagine, in a 5-year relationship, and this all kind of puts a pause in the whole marriage thing. She feels like I should share these things with her, but I'm sure most people in the military could agree that you don't really want to expose our loved ones to that type of stuff. I guess what I'm trying to ask is whether I should tell her about everything, which I really don't want to do, or if I should wait and hope she can understand why I don't want to share these stories. Any help on this situation will help. Thanks. First of all, thanks for your service. Doing something that I could not do. Like you said, you saw some crazy shit that a lot of civilians could not imagine, and you're in a predicament now that I can't relate to on a first-hand basis. So if there are people in the comments that are in the Army or have served before in any branch, if they could kind of shed some light on how they feel about this topic, I would really appreciate a more first-hand account. And I would, if you're watching this video, the person who left this comment, browse through the comments to see if anyone has any advice that I feel like would be better than mine. I've only experienced this secondhand. My grandfather fought in World War II, and he never really talked about it. I know where he served. I know he had a Purple Heart because my dad told me. And other than that, my grandfather did not want to talk about it, understandably. A very bloody war, and I mean, he was almost killed in the war. So a traumatic experience, and people back then just didn't talk about things like that. And my uncle served, and I don't know if he talked to my aunt about it. I don't know. I know he served many times. He ranked up decently high in the military before retiring and going into security. So I know he's seen some crazy shit, but I don't know what that relationship is like and if he discusses that. This isn't something you can control, so I don't want to dwell on this part too much, but it's definitely frustrating when parents get kind of semi-involved in a relationship and cause tension on one side or the other. I've been lucky enough to also not experience that, and I could understand how that would make things extra frustrating. I'm also wondering if there's just some strain on your relationship from you being away for long periods of time in general, and that exacerbates other problems, like the problem of you not telling her things that you don't feel comfortable sharing, that you don't want her to hear about or have to process that you went through that. Again, I would refer to comments of people who have dealt with situations like this, but my one thought is that this is a therapy situation, a couples counseling situation, especially if you guys were going to get married, because like you said, this is kind of a rough patch and you want to have the smoothest pavement possible to start marriage on. I know I did. Megan and I talked to some people a little bit before our marriage, and I felt like it really clarified for me why I'm getting married and the things I like about it. So if you could do that with her, if you guys do end up getting through this period that you're in, I think that's a great idea. And I hope she could just genuinely understand why you wouldn't want to tell her. I mean, you literally are hiding things from her. So if she says that, she's not wrong, but there's context to that. There's reasons why you're not doing that. And that's something you could work out as an individual in therapy or with her in therapy, hopefully. Again, I appreciate what you've done for our country, and I'm wishing you the best in this situation. Would love an update, positive or negative. Either way, this is a tough one. So thanks for sharing. Thanks everyone for sharing your awkward situations, and I look forward to reading your awkward situations in this episode. Until next time, I appreciate you all. I love you all. Goodbye.
Tried to be that, not then too selfish. Guess God made me different, can't help it. In case y'all don't forgot to make hell sweat. Whenever I get on the beat, I'm still helping. Selling it and making it work, I mean, come on.